What's going on? A conversation with Vina. It was low tide. The waves of the unseen sea lapped as the sands below the cliffs among keys. A trail was carved into the cliffside, just wide enough for a single horse. Vina picked up speed as she guided her mare, Lizzie, around a sharp curve. I'm of course going to go faster myself. I urged my own horse on. She bulked at the steep drop, slowing us down. Vina glanced back up at me with a grin. Meet you at the beach. We're going, of course, to this resort over here. I watched her fly down the trail. Sometimes you should make decrees at the beginning of the turn to get around caps like that. You know, that's fair. She'd thrown herself into horseback riding after Lena died. We kept a few horses in Port Dresden as well, but Lizzie was her favorite. I followed her at a leisurely place, taking time to gaze back up at the hill at Patas Keys. With Herbert Toras governing the province in his own estate, I was free to visit my old home and its private beach anytime that I liked. At the bottom of the trail was the sheltered cove where Pavel had laid out a picnic lunch. I dismounted and sat down next to Vina. You really didn't have to come back to Monkeys with me, Father. I mean, it's good to have a break. I'm grateful for the break. It's too hectic in Port Brezon. I like the place, but I can't let Lizzie think I've forgotten about her. She reached up and gave her horse a pat on the nose. Beautiful here, isn't it? I can see why the swords had their eye on it. Do you think it was the right decision to let them build their little resort? She thought for a moment. Sure, I mean, Queen Lizzie recognized the importance of being connected with Swordlands. Mother would be rolling at her grave at the news, though. Surely how she would always call them sordid instead of swordish. Don't you get me started what your Aunt B calls them. She picked up a lobster salad sandwich from the picnic basket and nibbled at it. A solemn silence descended as we stared out at the waves. 8 years since she died. When I'm here, it might as well have been yesterday. Since who died? Oh, you mean your mother? Oh, I completely forgot about her. You know what? You almost died that day too, you know. Sometimes I wish I had. I can't even dip my toe in the water. It'll all come rushing back. I looked out at the sea again. The memories rush over me. The sickening sound the boat had made as its girders splintered, calling out for my wife over and over, until my voice finally gave out. The beep of the hospital machines as I told Vina to say goodbye to her mother one last time. Was there anything I could have done to save her? In another timeline, were the three of us sitting on this beach instead of two? Tears formed at the corner of my eyes. You know what? I'm a strong, independent king. I will cry in front of my daughter. I start sobbing. Vina appeared at a loss of words. She tenderly put a hand on my shoulder. I'm sorry, Father. I didn't realize it's still so fresh for you as well. You know, grief isn't a straight line, my daughter. It ebbs and flows like the tide. Not very absolute a cry. Well, I'm absolutely crying right now, so, you know, take that as you may. It's always high tide for me. I'm not sure I even want to come up for air. She wipes her eyes. But you must be feeling the same way about Mother. Otherwise, you would have remarried by now. 8 years and not so much as a date. That's because I've been trying. Have you tried the dating apps these days? It's really hard, Vina. It's impossible. Looking after you's been my #1 priority. You can't use that excuse for much longer. She nervously picked up a handful of sand as she let it run through her fingers. So, if you were to meet someone, what if you had a son? Who would be your successor when you died? Become my successor. You know what? I will still declare you next in line. We'll go for like House of Dragons situation here. Rizia needs a queen like you, and the rules were meant to be broken. She smiled. Like Queen Rizia said, the eldest siblings shouldn't inherit the throne, no matter their sex. Thank you, Father. It means a lot to know my preparations won't be for nothing. I should watch these. I like House of the Dragon. The tide was beginning to lap at the edge of her blanket. She stood up and pulled away from the water. Father, One more thing. What? It's just... Grandmother had always gone on about how I need to find the right husband. How important is it to you, really, whom I marry? You know, you are Princess Vina. Your marriage status matters not only to me, but to the whole country. Does that mean you're planning on marrying me off? Like your father did to you? And what if I am? He fixed me with a stare. You and mother were lucky to fall in love. Most such marriages are miserable. Relax. I might suggest a potential husband or two, but I'll never drag you to the altar. She looked relieved. I'm interested in hearing these suggestions. I mean, I have a lovely butler. Sorry to run, but one of the countesses from my school days invited me for tea. She's just a few states down the beach from here. Have fun. I'm glad we were able to talk. So am I. She rode away. The trip back to the palace felt a lot longer than the way down. It was dusk by the time I returned my horse to the stables. I staggered through the doorway of Palace Monkeys, exhausted. Pavel swiftly took my coat. Welcome back, Your Majesty. Where's the princess? In another castle. She's visiting a friend, but she wanted to thank you for lunch. Monkey's lobster. Never so sweet as when it's fresh out of the water. There's a warm bath waiting for you upstairs in case you're sore from the ride. Only if it's got bubbles. Is there any other kind of bath? Thank you. This is why we love Pavel, okay? I made my way to Palace Monkey's master bedroom. There was an enormous clawfoot tub filled with the brim with soapy and luscious scented water. I undressed and got in. I will scrub my right arm. The temperature was perfect. A tap came at the door, so soft I thought I was imagining it at first. Your Majesty? Yes? May I come in? I forgot to leave you a towel. Sure, come in. Come on in. The door slowly opened as Pavel entered. I had a fluffy towel in his arms. He hung it on a hook on the wall. I noticed an identical towel on the hook next to it. Is there another reason you wanted to come in? He took a step closer to the bath, consciously keeping his eyes to the wall. Actually, there was something I wanted to bring up without any of the guards around. Sounds serious. It might be, or it might not be. I'm not sure. There was a small stool next to the tub. He moved over for it and sat with his back to me. Well, what did you want to tell me? Pavel spoke the next word slowly. Your Majesty, how much have you been told about your father's death? He has a heart attack. What else should I need to know? That is the official explanation, yes. Back when my dad was still alive, he showed me every single plant in the Palace Resna Gardens. One of them was Mandragora. Big green leaves, pretty purple flowers. He told me that you can make an extract from its roots. A little bit helps you sleep. More than that causes delirium, and a lot will stop your heart. I think I see where this is going. I know it seems preposterous, but when I attended to your father on his sickbed, he didn't seem like a man suffering from heart failure. He was in a complete daze, as if he didn't even recognize me. After he died, I went out to the part of the garden where my father had planted a mandragora. Nothing but smooth patch of dirt. When was the last time you saw the plants? A few months before that, maybe. I remember the flowers blooming. So yes, it's possible their disappearance had nothing to do with the king's death. Alright. Let's say he was poisoned. What would be the motivation? We both know His Majesty had a long list of enemies, but the goal could simply have been to put you on the throne. I don't think anybody wanted me to be king that badly. No matter what, I'd urge you to look out for yourself. There were only a few people King Valero trusted by the end. If my suspicions were correct, it means one of them took advantage of that trust. And all those people are still in your inner circle today. You know what? I see where you're... I see. I'm going to have to look into this further. Habel nodded. Thank you for bringing this to my attention. Of course. I've never hide anything from you. You and I go too far back for that. You want to join a tub with me? Like, you can get in too. It's a really big tub, Habel. Trust me, old friend, I've always have your back. Be marvalu. Un oxit solu. He finished the phrase with a gentle smile, then rose from his seat. I'll take my leave before your water gets too cold. Habel? Romus? You know what? Stay in chat. Baths are boring alone, as the king commands. He sat down. We kept talking as I finished my bath. After a thorough soak, I dressed and headed to my study. I still had some work to go over before the trip back. We love to see it. We love to see it. Okay, so what's going on in the world? The city of Ziel is preparing for this year's Veznik Rizian Friendship Day ceremonies. Our motorcade is slated to arrive at Smolak Square at 13:45, after which there will be speeches as well as a special surprise that President Smolak has yet to disclose. Later that afternoon, there will be an opportunity to discuss the impending transfer of the region. The surprise that he's going to kidnap me. That's what's going to happen here. Okay, so this is... Read the report. Urban planning officials have warned us of a lack of affordable housing for residents of Port Drazon. They cite a lack of rent controls for landlords as well as the shortage of available apartments for unhoused and low-income citizens as major problems. Why would I give a shit what the commoners are having issues with? Just fucking get your money up. Okay, so what do we have? Well, one thing we do want to do is we do want to get the oil fields. 100% that is something that we're going to want to pass, so we're just going to pass it now. Oh, I now have no money to do this. But you know, what if I sell more energy? Because how much energy we have? What? Minus 2 authority. Yeah, I'll make this. I'll make this deal. You make that deal, I'll make that deal. The Morella-based non-profit coalition, Save the Arfleld, is an organizing a campaign to raise awareness around the pollution of the Arfleld River watershed. They claim the river has been contaminated by heavy acidic wastewater runoff from the mines in nearby Memphium International Trade Zone. We're asking for the trade zone's stakeholders, including Rizia, for their financial support. Fuck off! Get them out of here. Does that water flow into Rizia? It might. If it does, that might be an issue, but if it doesn't, then we're golden, baby. Okay, energy exports. In order to increase Rizia's gas output as well as boost domestic energy security, the palace has announced that it will be undertaking a major expansion of the Eskris offshore gas field. The construction of the new offshore platform as well as the shore refining facilities will greatly increase Rizia's gas production capabilities, paving the way for this backbone of our economy to be strengthened. The king has announced that it will be a new decree will potentially allow for greater exporting of Rizian natural gas in the future, something that will only be undertaken if, according to the palace, security of Rizia's domestic supply will not be threatened. Okay, we're an energy exporter. We've already done this. The coalition of non-governmental organizations calling itself Save the Arfeld is called on the governments of Rizia, Lesbia, Morella, and Vagsland to acknowledge the devastation wreaked on Morella's affluent river watershed by the International Trade Zone, the largest cooperative gold mining venture on the Merkopan continent. Their petitions, which has been signed by over 100,000 Morellians, claim that improper waste management has led to the leaching of toxic chemicals into the river and its environment. They have gathered testimonies from local residents who speak of dwindling fish stocks, contaminating drinking water, and health complications. Look, Morella, you just voted in a bunch of commies. You gotta deal with the wastewater, okay? It's just how it works. Within the stately halls of Rumburg's parliament, whispers swirl of a burgeoning monarchist faction, rumored to be enjoying the quiet support of Queen Beatrice herself. These speculations lend weight to the faction's growing ambitions to amplify its influence under her reign, marking the latest evolution in Rumburg's dynastic political landscape. If the rumors hold true, this faction's ascent could steer Rumburg's to adopt a more assertive foreign policy, particularly in safeguarding the interests of the Grace Alliance. These implications of such a development could extend beyond Rumour's borders, signaling a possible recalibration of international posturing against constitutional monarchies. The Walker Plan, spearheaded by Arcasian President Dwight Walker, has catalyzed economic growth in Central Merkopa, benefiting nations like Agard, Montesiet, and Solomor. By promoting market reforms and privatization, these countries have seen an expansion in consumer options and increased efficiency. Even with the strong ideological and political impact of the Arcasian Dream, concerns over rising inequality and marginalizations of smaller economics remains. The plan's focus on privatization and deregulation, while stimulating competition, also risks exacerbating wealth disparities and undermining local industry. Save the Powerful Coalition thanks socialist countries. This is why we didn't donate. This is why we didn't donate. Why we didn't donate to them, bunch of, red bastards. And you know what? Just for that, just for their audacity to donate to save the environment, we're banning the communist propaganda. Books, magazines, and pamphlets from Malivist countries such as Katana, Vaxland, and Gomland are reaching our shores. Not anymore, I say. Not anymore. We didn't even get a news article about that one. They don't care that much. The crisp morning air filled my lungs as I crossed the palace courtyard with Hugo. I was heading to a long overdue meeting with Titus regarding the Golden Guard, and my uncle insisted on accompanying me. I'm glad you've arranged a formal meeting with Captain Gordian. There is much to be gained in fostering a robust relationship. Okay. Yeah, having a good relationship with them seems good. Want to make sure. Okay, that's all good. I believe the Golden Guard possesses an untapped potential that would prove quite advantageous should the need arise. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Captain Gordian can tell you more. Okay. Be honest with me, Hugo. Do you believe that Gordian can be trusted? He is, without a doubt, one of the most trustworthy individuals in the entire kingdom. What if Hugo is trying to make a play for the throne? I hope that today's visit will prove you right. It wasn't long before we crossed the courtyard and reached the armory, which also served as Golden Guard's headquarters. As we approached, a pair of soldiers, flanked on either side of the entrance, greeting us with a formal salute. I'll salute back. Hugo and I continued on our way. Upon entering the armory, I found myself surrounded by a collection of old weaponry and armor on display. The polished shields and rusted swords appeared frozen in time. We eventually reached a training facility where we found Captain Gordian in boxing gloves sparring with another Golden Guardsman. My money is on Captain Gordian. What do you say? 50 Gilder? Yeah, sure, I'll take that bet. You're on. The two men circled each other for a while before they started swinging. 3 rounds later, the captain had his opponent on the ropes. Feel confident in your choice? I could ask you the same question. Some might say you're deflecting, but in any case, yes, I am very confident. We continued watching the fight. My guy did manage to land a few hits, but in the end, Captain Gordian came out on top with a powerful punch to the jaw. Here's that Captain Gordian has emerged victorious. Yeah, it certainly does. Looks like I owe you. Let this be a life lesson. Don't get in a fight with Captain Gordian. Okay, thank you. You're wasting too much energy running around the ring next time. Your Majesty, my apologies. I didn't see you there. You're earlier than I expected. No need to apologize. Just like in the ring, timing can be a challenge. Very true, sir. I must, let's see, retire. You must say that is quite the right hook you've got there. Courtesy from my former boxing days. Regardless, we should go. We got plenty to talk about. Very good, sir. I should have bet first. If you come with me, I can take you somewhere more secluded. Captain Gordian removed his boxing gloves as he headed towards the entrance to another wing of the armory. Your Majesty, shall we? Yeah, sure, let's go. After you. You and I caught up with Titus as he stepped inside the building. Upon entering, we were once again enveloped by an array of antiquated weaponry and armor. Titus motioned us towards the display. I brought most of this out of storage soon after I took command. A considerable portion of what you see here was in bad shape and required extensive refurbishment. I'm pleased to say you take such an interest in preserving Rizia's history. Quite the arsenal that you've got here, Captain. Believe me, this is a fraction of what this palace has gotten tucked away. If you desire, I'd be honest to provide you with the background and history of everything here. Of anything here. I mean, please, by all means. Why don't you tell me about that sword? I motioned to the broadsword promptly displayed in the center of the room. That's Fyodor's Fury. Its notoriety spans several hundred years. Just after the Empire of Valago seized Palais from Rizia. Although we've lost our most important port, we managed to keep our enemy from making further inroads into the kingdom at the Battle of Terrador. Legend has it, this sword took off the head of the Valago's army's top general. Well, that sounds like a bad day for him. To put it lightly, if you would like, Your Majesty, can I have the sword polished for ceremonial use? I mean, that would be great. What about the armor? I pointed at the intricately adorned armored suit that stood out among the others. That would be the armor of King Romus Toras, the ancestor from whom all members of your house are descended. After securing power in monarchies, his dynasty maintained a stronghold over the city-state throughout the Marquian era. Upon the foundation of the Kingdom of Rizia, they assumed control over the entire province of Valakiris. I'm sure His Majesty knows the history of his own house, Captain. Yes, but it's always good to refresh myself on our history. What about that thing? I gestured towards a metallic, coffin-like contraption that stood upright. That'd be Saint Mercy, our aptly named Iron Maiden. A torture device from a bygone era. It was last used on suspected spies during the War of Recent Succession. Lined with spikes on the inside, it was designed to inflict excruciating pain when closed. I can think of a few people that would benefit from such physical therapy. Not serious, of course. You'll be happy to know that hasn't been used in quite some time. Hard to believe that it was used at all. Not often, but it's more to scare people if anything. What else can I tell you about? You know what, that's enough history. I'm ready to move on. We continued onward until we reached Captain Gordian's office on the far side of the hall. It was, too, adorned with a large collection of war memorabilia. Captain Gordian gestured us to the sitting area. Please, have a seat. Uncle Hugo sat on a sofa that looked like it had been plucked from the 19th century. I took a seat in a leather armchair close by. The captain took out a bottle of wine from the cabinet. Would you care for some fortified wine? It is from an exceptional vintage dating back to 1893, from Rizia's very own Catavallo vineyards. I didn't know that you were a connoisseur, Captain. I'll take a glass. Why not? I can't turn down a chance to drink with my new bodyguard. I am honored, Your Majesty. Captain Gordian uncorked the bottle and poured us each a glass. We briefly toasted and took a sip. After putting it away, he settled into a chair across from me. What do I owe the pleasure of your company today? Okay. Want to get away from the council, speak to a real commoner. You know, I look to develop a clearer understanding of the individuals comprising my security detail, particularly the man who's leading them. Well, I'm more than happy to tell you about myself, though you might find hearing about the Golden Guard more interesting. You know what? Why don't you tell me more about yourself? Well, I was born and raised in Porte Drazon. My father was in the military while my mother took care of me and my siblings. I had a fairly normal childhood until my father was killed during the operation to take back Palais. He gave his life for a good cause. He believes it in all his heart. He never turned against King Valero. Needless to say, his death brought on a long period of financial instability. My mother did what she could, but it wasn't enough. How did you get by? I took up championship boxing to support us. Yes, you mentioned something about your boxing days. You fared well, I assume? Good enough to catch the eye of military recruiters. I do sometimes miss those days in the ring on occasion. I worked my way up through the ranks until I was just a few years ago, when General Tedious Azaro approached me with the idea of reinstating the Golden Guard. Well, tell me about the Golden Guard then. Well, I'd be honored. As you already know, each guardman stationed in the palace and across Rizia Imperii have sworn an oath to protect the royal family. We answer to no one else but you. I am forever grateful. Please continue. Gladly. Aside from security detail, the Golden Guard has a long history of carrying out more private matters for the king. Oh, I'm definitely interested in hearing some more. Let's just say, public is better off not knowing the types of operations we've handled beyond simple security. Titus hesitated for a moment, casting a curious glance at Hugo as he did. Alright, I'll come out and say it. Since the founding of the Golden Guard, long before your father reinstated them, they are known to engage in espionage. They also carried out arrests and even liquidation of individuals who pose a threat to the crown. Since their return, their dealings with such matters have been limited in scope. However, the potential to broaden their flexibility is still there. Okay. I mean, I had heard rumors of such clandestine operations, but this is the first time I've received official confirmation. Secrecy is of the utmost importance to us. Outside of less scrupulous dealings, it might also pique your interest to know that they were once tasked with serving as emergency firefighters in the event of an unruly blaze. A long time ago, yes, but that was more to do with public relations. By deploying us to assist in disaster relief, the Crown could demonstrate concern for the well-being of the local populace. Okay. He is putting out fires. Okay, I don't even know which option to choose here, to be honest. If we're relying on the Golden Guard to handle fires, we got much bigger problems on our hands. Hopefully, we'll not get to that point. Okay. You know what? Your comprehensive explanation was appreciated. I'm glad to. I'm glad I could write you some further insight. Is there anything else that you would like to know? Yeah, I would say this, but I don't want to say this in front of Hugo. What would you deem to be the biggest threat to my safety right now? Titus looked around, then turned back to me. Your government security forces seem to have a handle on the populace. We want a handle on them. I don't want to overstep my bounds so early into my employ, but I do believe the Azaros could pose a threat. Please don't worry, His Majesty with such speculations. Captain Gordian, House Azaro, and House Toras have been close allies since the War of Rizia's succession. I appreciate you voicing your concerns, Titus, even if I do not share them. I'm happy to have your ear, Your Majesty. Okay, you know what? Is it possible, hypothetically speaking, for the Golden Guard to support the Crown in a murder investigation? Hugo straightened up, suddenly more alert. Titus appeared unfazed. If we were granted the resources, such an investigation would not be out of the question. Would you care to elaborate? I will, should the need arise. I'm still determining if there's sufficient justification for such an inquiry. Understandable. In any event, I'm here to assist you. You have eyes on me at all times, even during intimate moments. It is our utmost aim to protect the royal family's security while respecting your privacy. You can expect that we'll be watching you and your family members in public and standing guard outside any room that you enter. But what do you do in that room is no business of ours. What if I want you to watch me? No. You know what? Good. That's the correct answer. Discretion is the Golden Guard away. And would the Golden Guard aid our military if a war broke out? Titus saluted reflexively. Certainly, Your Majesty. Some suspect that the Golden Guard's secret involvement helped your ancestor Aurenia Torres' army win the War of Rizia succession. With our current numbers, however, I fear we would not be of much use. Okay, that'll be all, thank you. Is there anything else I can do for you? Do not hesitate to ask. And thank you again for your hospitality, Captain. Before long, Hugo and I left the armory and were making our way back through the palace courtyard. I think that was a very productive meeting, if I do say so myself. I agree. Your counsel was greatly appreciated. It's my honor, Your Majesty, and I look forward to providing you with further guidance. He paused and scrutinized me for a moment. A murder investigation, Your Majesty. Is there something that you'd like to tell me? As I said, I was asking hypothetically. Very well. I was only wondering. Hugo is my number 1 suspect, by the way. I don't know. There's something about him. I feel like he's my number 1 suspect right now for who would be the murderer. I still wasn't fully sold on whether or not Titus could be trusted, but I was satisfied knowing that my influence over him remained strong. For now. Let's be, we're neutral. That's better, right? Like, I think we were hostile before. Now we're up to neutral. We'd love to see it. We love to see it. But I will say that at least right now, could be a good time for us to end the stream. These buttons work. The buttons still do not work. Okay, I have to figure out why they don't work right now. But that'll be the end of the stream for today. That's not what I want. Where's my